All right, guys, Nathan Sprague here again with Debt Freedom University, and we are now into the next phase of this process. So, this sheet you see here is what I call the Debt Freedom Matrix. So, again, as with the budget, there should be a link right below this video to download this template file. And again, if you have any trouble accessing this file or need it in a different format, please contact us, and I'm sure we can figure out a way to make that work. We can usually transform this into different file formats so that you can open it with whatever program you're running on and need. So let's dive right in. Again, feel free to change your name on the top. Let's stick with the John sample family that we've been using here. And in this video, we're just going to focus on this top table here on the debts. So once this whole spreadsheet template is complete and our debt freedom matrix is complete here, we will use this in unison with our budget that we just put together, and a couple of key bits of data that are calculated from this sheet to then take that data and plug it into our debt snowball or debt avalanche calculators, which will produce our line by line, month by month course of action so that we can begin implementing this process. So diving right in, again, we're just going to focus on this top table first that is exclusively our debts. So what you need to do is itemize every single one of your debts. We've obviously got a description here, so whatever you want to call your debt, the balance here, the next column, so this is the principal balance that's remaining on the debt. Next to that, we've got the interest rate. Next to that, we've got the minimum payment that's required of you to make a payment towards that debt service payment obligation. And then to the right of that, we've got extra payments. So if you're making any extra payments on that debt, you can enter those amounts here. So I just want to walk through kind of line by line to show you kind of some very common examples to hopefully help answer some questions for you that you may have on inputting your data into this table. Again, as with the budget, some of these categories may not apply to you. Please go in. You can delete every single one of these and enter your names and your values, but these all need to be applicable to you. So please make those necessary changes. But starting right at the top with the mortgage, in this example, they've got a remaining balance of $245,000, an interest rate of 2.99%, a minimum payment of $1,078. With the mortgage, very important that you do this correctly. The minimum payment should only be the principal and interest portion of your payment. Okay, so that's in this case $1,078 per month. If you recall, go back to our budget with this family. They were making a total of $1,460 total payment towards the mortgage. But keep in mind that included principal, interest, plus escrow amounts, plus any extra payments they were making. So that was the total payment that they're making. Whereas in the debt freedom matrix, when we're breaking down our debts, this minimum payment for the mortgage specifically should only be the principal and interest only. And then in addition to that, obviously if you're making any extra payments towards your mortgage, enter that amount there. Everything else should hopefully be kind of self-explanatory. Got a couple of car loans here with the principal balances, interest rates, minimum payments owed on those, extra payments. They're not making, in this example, not making any extra payments towards the car payments. And then we've got a few credit cards here. So we've got a Visa card with about $7,500 on it, interest rate of 15.99%, a minimum payment, and then in this case, they're making an extra $20 per payment on that credit card. So that would be a total of $200 per month they're paying on that. If you have any questions about where to get this data, nowadays, most everything's online. So if you have an online account, usually it's pretty easy to see what your balance is. If you have questions about your interest rate, you can always call your creditor, your lender, or your credit card company, which is the creditor. But they'll be able to tell you what your interest rate is. Or if you look at your most recent monthly statement, usually at the very end, the bottom of the statement, they will show the annual APR rate. So that is your annual percentage rate. That's the interest rate you're paying on that debt. So that's where you can find that data. But moving forward, we got a Discover card, a little under 19,000 with a 16.49% interest rate. Minimum payment's $365 per month, and they're making an extra $35 payment per month there. Got one more credit card, a Citi card, $2,500, and then below that we've got 2 student loans totaling about $68,000. Interest rates on each of them, minimum payments on each of those, and then not making any extra payments in this example. So again, this is just for example, but you need to plug in your data that's applicable to you here in the debt table. So very important that you get the interest rates right. Well, frankly, it's important that you get all of this right. So take some time, log into your accounts online, figure out what these values are, and then again, in terms of payments, it's important that you get those monthly minimum required payments correct, as well as any extra payments you're making on each of those. And then again, important in regards specifically to the mortgage, you're only including the principal and interest payment only. Do not include the amount you quote unquote owe for escrow payments with that. So that's it for debts. And that's it for this video. We'll dive into the other stuff in future videos. Hopefully you found this informative, and we'll see you in the next video. One other thing I forgot, guys, I want to just tack on to the tail end of this conversation. The numbers you enter here should coincide with your budget. So, for example, if I'm looking at the 2 auto loans here, if I look at these 2 cells, you may not be able to see this on your screen, but that's a total of $750 per month. And I'm not making, in this example, not making any extra payments on that. So we've got a total auto loan payment of $750 per month. If I go back to my budget, where are we at here? Car payment, $750. So these numbers should coincide with your budget. Those should be, accurate on both sheets, and you need to. It's important that those are. And then, for example, with the credit cards. So if I'm looking at the 3 credit cards here, if I look at the minimum payments plus the extra payments I'm making, these 6 cells total $700. So if I go back to my budget and I look at credit card debt service, here I have $700. So that's not just the minimum debt service obligation that I owe, it's the minimum obligation plus any extra payments I'm making. So the budget should coincide with what you show here in your debt freedom matrix with your debts. So I just wanted to point that out here on the tail end as I was getting ready to sign off. So again, hopefully you found this informative, and we'll see you in the next video.